Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast. I am your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. Ladies and gentlemen, we have three massive topics to get into. And you know what's insane? Thanks to the unbelievable knowledge, and I would say knowledge bombs have been dropped in the last 24 to 48 hours by our very good friend, Jez Corden of Windows Central, one half of the Xbox 2 podcast with Randall Thor Weekly. That guy has been dropping news bombs here, there, and everywhere. We're going to talk about a couple of them, and we could have easily had 10 topics. I mean, there is literally so much Xbox news happening that I had to like break it up for the next couple of shows. And listen, I know after the week of the layoffs and the studio closure and the game cancellations wasn't a great time for Xbox fans. That stuff is, I don't want to say it's water under the bridge because people lost their jobs, folks. You're never going to hear me like try to poo-poo it, but things, we got to move on, unfortunately. And right now there is a lot of really, really great Xbox news, especially if you enjoy, gaming. And there's a lot of news we're going to get into today, one of which is going to be the opening salvo. And that was yesterday's tweet from Insomniac Games. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. You know what? I'm going to give you my thoughts in a hot second because I have some thoughts, ladies and gentlemen. There's some people in the chat here already in their feelings. Gentlemen, I won't name you. We don't want to, have you get embarrassed. But it's just opinions. No one is staking into the ground that Spider-Man is going to be released on Xbox tomorrow. It's a thought. It's a theory. There's a reason why it could happen. I'm going to break all of that down, but take it easy. Take a chill pill. Enjoy the conversation. Don't get in your feels because your box that you pray to every day is now doing what Xbox is doing. I just want to throw that out there. But Jamie Moran, how are you feeling, kind sir? It appears that you are having such a great time with Final Fantasy 16. You're 50 hours in, and you would think that would be enough, but no, the Arkham escapees have once again come after you for simply being a gamer and having fun. How are you feeling, brother?
Yeah, man, I'm good. I'm happy to be here. It's funny because I make positive posts about games I'm playing, and it angers
How dare
people.
you?
Like, how dare I have fun? And it's amazing because I think another thing that really annoyed those certain folk is that I got a review code from Square Enix.
Oh wow!
So I don't and considering I haven't had the best relationship with Square Enix.
Well, no, you've kind of put them on blast as they deserved it, honestly.
But hey, I was happy to get it, and now I'm loving it. And look, the amount I've talked about that game, a lot of people have told me they've bought it because of me. So hey, they've got the money back in spades. But all in all, I'm having fun. It's a good time to be a gamer. There's some weird news stories, with the whole layoffs and stuff. But with the releases inbound and the releases today, we've got brand new Game Pass editions. It's a good time.
Indeed, it is. And look, I know a lot of people are asking. He just asked Constantinos Pascal Greco in the chat. This game, this is digital crack cocaine, ladies and gentlemen. It's called Greed Fall. No, I'm sorry, Greed Land. It's one word, Greed Land. Right now, this amazing game is $10.39 on Xbox. Go, go, go. It's the only thing I've been playing. The best way I can describe this is Vampire Survivors. Yes, that's the top layer, but it does have a huge, I don't want to say connection, but one-to-one of the original Helldivers. There are 3 locations. There's a desert, there's a jungle, and there's the frozen planet I'm on. And it is Vampire Survivors on steroids because you get to use all these different weapons, but it's a big RPG on the back end. Like you get to choose your power armor. You're going to see, like, for instance, I'm trying to level up. You can buy off the commander and do advanced missions. There is so much to this game. I am telling you, it's going to be the greatest $10.39 you have ever spent. It is a small studio. I got to be honest with you. It's going to be in my top 10, maybe even my top 5 of 2025. I cannot stop playing this game. My God, is it's good. But Crispy Bomb, a salty topic, and you happen to just show up. I think you actually are in my mind somehow. So whenever you know there's going to be a saltiness or some, some give back, if you will, you join us. How you doing, brother? Welcome back.
Oh, it's good to be here. I am officially on vacation for the next 9 days, so it should be fun. Obviously, I'm going to be actually doing vacation stuff, but today is a rot day, and also joining you fine gentlemen and doing what I do best, speaking my truth, and that's what I do. So let's get into it.
All right, so gentlemen, chat. Let's jump right into what happened yesterday that set the world ablaze. Now, Insomniac Games, look, one of my favorite studios at PlayStation Studios. I've talked about it. I've talked about Ted Price and his team. Now, we know Ted Price is eventually going to be going if he hasn't gone already. The leadership there is going to be fine. Ted is going to put somebody that he's worked with for years to take over Insomniac. And Insomniac, from a leak, we know has a pretty good roadmap. Next year is going to be Venom. I don't know how big the game is going to be. You know, is going to be I think that it's probably going to be on the level of Miles Morales, and I think that is perfectly fine. It is the Lethal Protector storyline that they're going with, from what I understand. Wolverine apparently is launching in 2027. And obviously, 2028, we should see Spider-Man 3. At least that is what the rumor is. So again, even if it's a rumor, it is a roadmap for Insomniac Games. Now, yesterday, Insomniac Games, their social on X tweeted, and I'm going to read verbatim, folks. It's very simplistic, right? But there's a lot of depth to this conversation that we're about to have. It says simply, "Hey, how are ya?" with the peace sign. And it has a picture of Spider-Man, what appears to be on a very high building, could be the Empire State Building in New York, doing the peace sign. And it's a very popular picture because, you can take your own pictures of yourself, within the game. That's what it is. It says hashtag be greater, hashtag Spider-Man PS5. So you might be asking, well, Boom, how could you equate Spider-Man 2018 is going to be coming potentially, possibly, maybe to Xbox? Well, a couple of reasons. If you look at the replies, I want to say, first of all, let's get into the engagement aspect of this tweet. 1.2 million views. This was posted yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. 16,000 likes, 845 retweets, 853 responses. Now, the 1.2 million views is unbelievable engagement. Now, I said this in the green room. I want to say it live on the air. If this could honestly be the biggest troll of 2025, right? Like, they could literally have said, well, Helldivers is, people are excited that Xbox gamers, current Xbox gamers who don't have a PC, are excited that we could see some PlayStation games come over, the same way a lot of PlayStation fans, not trolls, right, are enjoying lots of Xbox games that have come over and that have been announced to come over, right? So it's like a give and take kind of a thing. If you're on Xbox and you were hoping for Helldivers, you got it. Hopefully, people vote with their wallets and buy the game and tell Sony Studios that we want more games on Xbox. Because like me, I don't have a PC, but I have a PlayStation 5. I got everything that could possibly come over, like a Days Gone, for instance. If you see, I put out a new video. I talked about it yesterday with Fuzzy. Is Days Gone coming over? I have absolutely no idea. Does it make dollars and cents? It absolutely does make dollars and cents, considering that Ben Studios hasn't put out a new game since 2019's Days Gone. What has that studio been doing? Oh, that's right. The game that they were working on, which was an open world gas game, has been canceled. So now the studio is doing what? Are they a support studio? I don't know. But I would tell you this. I don't know. I don't have the ability to make polls yet in the chat, but I guarantee you that if I did poll the people here, including myself, I would gladly rebuy Days Gone on the Xbox. Not even thinking twice. I've platinumed Spider-Man 2018. I would buy it on Xbox and play it through till I got all 1,000 achievements. Not even kidding. But rewinding it back a bit, this tweet comes out, and a lot of Xbox fans respond, and a lot of Xbox fans want Spider-Man 2018. Now, there's going to be some comments in the chat here. There was comments in the responses. Xbox are port begging. So what? So what? Somebody wants a Spider-Man game that is an amazing game from start to finish. So what? Xbox players want that on their console. What's wrong with that? Now, before I get to the gentleman on the panel, here's why I think this whole thing could be happening. I don't know whether or not any of you are, fans of film. Well, secretly, I have always wanted to have a show dedicated to like the MCU and the DCEU, right? I could talk as much as I could talk about video games. I could easily talk about movies and film, especially about superhero stuff. I love it. Two of my favorite content creators I listen to every day of the week is Josh from Den of Nerds. He is freaking amazing. That guy's a workhorse. And of course, Charlie from Emergency Awesome. Great YouTubers, right? And that's what they produce. I mean, they talk about other things, but for the most part, they produce content based on the MCU or the DCEU. Now, I don't know whether you guys and gals have been checking, keeping your ears to the floor. There has been a running rumor that is now starting to make its way through the trades that Sony is in such a financial bind that there are rumors that they may actually sell back the Spider-Man film rights to Disney. Is that going to happen? I don't know, but it would recharge their bank accounts, because I can guarantee you that Disney wants that part of Marvel back, because they have everything now. The only thing they don't have is Spider-Man, and Spider-Man has hundreds of characters in the roster. And if they can get Spider-Man, well, they have the whole. Then they have the everything. They have X-Men. They have all of their own MCU stuff, and they would have Spider-Man back. And it would probably cost Marvel and Disney a lot of money, but they would gladly pay it, right? So that's happening. We have to remember, ladies and gentlemen, that Sony, even though they are doing well with their console sales, you guys have to get out of this space that console sales rules everything that we're talking about. That's not the case anymore. That was the case 10, 15, 20 years ago. That's not what's happening now. And if you think that Helldivers 2 is the start and end of Sony's push to put their games on other places, you are wrong. So Sony finds themselves in a position where if Helldivers does well, and I have a strong suspicion, gentlemen, that it is going to do very well on Xbox. And if that happens, Hiroki Totoki and the money people are going to say, you know what? Let's try something else. They have Nixus for a reason. Nixus has already ported Spider-Man 2018. They've already ported Days Gone. Now, I know that there's some pushback from some people here that say, well, it's probably going to be only multiplayer stuff. You think? I think that wherever they can make money, they're going to want to make money. I mean, look at the reports that we were talking about yesterday, me and Fuzzy. In 1 month, Forza Horizon 5 sold over 2.2 million copies, which equated to $100 million for Xbox, for Microsoft. You don't think Sony wants a cut of that pie? You don't think that Spider-Man 2018, even though the game is old, would not sell like gangbusters on Xbox? Of course it would. It would sell. I don't know if it's going to sell better. I mean, I think the current number is like somewhere upwards of 30 million. Like Spider-Man 2018 sold really well. Now, granted, depending on who you ask, is it actual, brick and mortar sales, digital sales, or was it had a lot to do with the pack-ins when they were offering that Spider-Man special edition console where they destroyed the numbers for Black Friday? Where it was a $200 console. It was a Spider-Man console. I think it was a PS4 Slim, if I'm not mistaken, with Spider-Man, $200. Like people were buying 10 at a time, and why wouldn't you? Those are great gifts. Look, again, this is speculative, honey, folks. I don't know if this is going to happen, but the only reason why it's a conversation, Crispy Bomb, is because of this Insomniac tweet. So, again, I'm all about the numbers. I'm all about trying to uncover maybe there's an ulterior motive here. So I went and looked specifically at July 14th, trying to figure out and find if there's any significant with that date with Spider-Man as a character, whether it be Marvel, whether it be the film, whether it be the game. I found nothing. I literally found absolutely nothing that would make Insomniac Games put out this post for no reason. Like, it's such an odd post. It's so just odd. Like, why talk about Spider-Man 2018 now? It doesn't make any sense unless it does, Crispy Bomb. Unless that sense is that game is coming to Xbox. I believe it is. I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'd be more than happy to admit it. But I'm still waiting for a few of the trolls to DM me and say, you were right about Helldivers 2, Boom. I haven't gotten those messages yet. Crispy, take it away, kind sir. Could this actually be happening?
Well, I mean, I trade, and that's what my retrospect of the way I look at things is that, am I going to make money off a situation? I invested early in, well, I wouldn't say early when it had a downturn in NVIDIA, and I've made hundreds of dollars, if not $1,000 off of a couple shares. It's one of those things that you look at the way Sony acts, and they act like they're old school. And this is where I say, like, this is why they have turned into something else. Because if you look at all of the diversity and everything else that was there, and all of a sudden going back to, okay, we need to make money, and that's where like Hiroki Totoki and all these other people come in, that all of a sudden, like, we need to focus on the right things. There's also a rumor out there that Wolverine might be very close to day and date, at least with PC. That's interesting. What I would say is that you have to look at the landscape and say, okay, like, you have, like, everybody looks at Spider-Man as a movie IP, which Sony owns as of now. And they look at it and they say, oh, it's killing it. But then you have the under circle of IP, like a Madam Web, for example, that lost millions of dollars. Okay, like absolute worst.
Every one of those films lost millions. The only one that made money was Venom 1. That was it.
And that's where you look at it and you say, I understand everybody's like, oh, it's Spider-Man, it's going to be on Sony. Spider-Man does not own the gaming rights, people. They don't, okay? They own the movie rights. That is it. Okay. They own all of the IP that involves Spider-Man in the movie rights. And trust me, if they're lucky, they broke even. And this is where I say, like, that Wolverine thing, if Disney comes to the table and says, hey, you know what, you need to release this on more platforms because you're not making the money on Spider-Man in general, and we're sick and tired of it. And they probably get a cut in some way. Like, you don't know these backdoor deals. And this is where I say, like, you look at the tea leaves. I mean, the peace sign and all this, and Helldivers and Gears, releasing on the same day. Isn't that interesting? I mean, really think about it. And this is where I in the green room, I was saying, look, think about this. Sony, for once, has the analytics because, to be honest, Microsoft has all the analytics they could possibly want. They own Windows. They can get all the analytics. Sony has analytics to see a Gears of War. And we're not talking the whole slate of Gears of War. We're talking the original and seeing how much it sells on their console. And then they are publishing Helldivers 2 and putting it on Xbox. So guess what? They get to all those analytics as well. So what do you think the money hats are going to think about if both are doing well? Hey, how about a game from 2018, which we're in 2025, people? It's at least decently old enough to say, well, let's satisfy the overseers that are Marvel, Disney, and let's throw it on an Xbox and see what happens. Do you not think it would at least sell 2 million, which is what Forza did? This is the way I look at things. I don't look at it like, hey, like I wouldn't play that. Like, I'll try it. Like, I'll probably buy it and try it. I never played Spider-Man 2018. You know what I mean? Like, why not? But you're going to a subset of people that there's probably 2 million people that only own an Xbox and never play on PC. Well, there you go. There's your win as Sony. And I look at it, and you said it, what, $100 million at the end of the day? That ain't half bad, dude, for Sony.
In a month, brother.
You know what I mean? Like, Sony probably, like, and this is a single player IP. This is not Helldivers. Helldivers could have us for years for all we know.
Yeah.
Because, like, I'm already prepping myself. I'm playing Division. I'm playing Horde mode and Gears. Like, I'm doing all kinds of stuff. Because you know what? The microcosm that is that community, like, I see so many new Xbox players on Facebook, not even Twitter, but there's a Facebook group that is, like, completely against, like, trying to kill. I'm like, dude, I went through friendly fire when I was in Division 1, man. When we played in the Dark Zone, I was walking on eggshells all day, every day. If I got a really good piece of loot or a really good gun, they would be hounding me, and it would be the only people in my party that would be looking at me like, damn, how did he get that? You know what I mean? And then if they kill you and they extract it, you drop it and it's theirs. Like, that's eggshells. Like, everybody, like, like, Helldivers, I'm interested in. I haven't felt this more intrigued in the game on Xbox because, like, I know the community, and I know we're gonna band together, and we're not gonna, like, go and try to team kill like these guys are talking about. We're just gonna go and we're gonna fight for Super Earth, and that's the end of the discussion. But that's where I say, like, if Helldivers at the $40 price point sells 3-4 million, what do you think they're gonna think about Spider-Man? Spider-Man is a beloved IP, not just in the gaming realm, but in the entire world. And that's probably why I would say, like, those reports, I've been seeing them as much as you. And I would say, like, I mean, is it worth $2 billion to Disney? It might be. They bought Fox for it, for the X-Men. Think about that. So I look at that and I say, at the end of the day, like releasing this game for Sony to keep that IP at least somewhat, like I'm telling you, it would be only 2018. It would just be like Gears Reloaded. Everybody's like, oh, Gears of War is all coming out. Yeah, no, the best game in my opinion is Gears 2. But still, like if they drip feed it to them, like they're gonna sell and they're gonna sell and they're gonna sell, you know? And I mean, Sony's probably looking at and like, hey, those numbers for Gears Reloaded are looking pretty good. And this game is 20 years old. How about a 9-year-old game? How about that? So I'm just saying, like, it's weird that people like continually like argue for this exclusivity. It's dying right before your eyes.
Yep.
And I enjoy it because at the end of the day, I want people to play Gears of War Reloaded. I want people to feel the motion that I did. And that's all I care about. It's that old, like just like anybody that's played Spider-Man and probably any actual gamer is looking at it and is like, man, like, like I love that game and I want other people to experience it that never have and maybe get their reaction and stuff like that. These are the little things in life that we should all appreciate. And I think the time is now. It's about the games. It's about the ecosystem. It's about who you play with and everything else. And then let everything fall the way it is. And that's really the way I look at it. I think, Spider-Man is an IP that is important to a lot of people, young and old right now. And I think it would be a worthy adversary for any game that Xbox comes out with.
I mean, listen, again, this isn't a confirmed thing. It's just odd, Jamie Moran, that Insomniac Games would simply tweet about Spider-Man 2018. And the engagement is bonkers. 1.2 million views, 16,000 plus likes, a ton of shares, and nearly 850 plus replies. And a lot of the replies are people that apparently are Xbox fans that want this game on the console. Now, I don't like to name names, but the best of Philly, brother, look, I don't understand what's going on in your life that every time you're in this chat, you are bent out of shape angry. Listen, you're entitled to your opinion, and that's fine. But, brother, you need to probably sit down with somebody because the anger through your words that you're writing, I can see it. I can read it. It's just video games, dude. If PlayStation is your jam, that's okay. The PlayStation from yesteryear, brother, that is gone. The goalposts continue to move with you and the PlayStation community that refuse to accept change. Listen, I'm an old bastard, and I had to accept that games that were exclusive on Xbox are now on your box. Who cares? Was I pissed off where I was leaving the brand? No. But some people did. Okay, they're entitled to do that. But bro, you are very angry, and it's just games. No one is declaring that Spider-Man is coming out tomorrow. But just look at what is the history of what's been going on. First, it was MLB The Show, and the excuses from PlayStation Nation, right? The PlayStation Earth Defense Force was that, well, MLB said, and that's right. MLB said, listen, you need to put this on other places, otherwise we want to take the license back. So Sony made a move. Game is now everywhere, right? Okay, awesome. What else have they done? Well, Helldivers 2 was no way that was going to happen. And it unfolded with the studio. Arrowhead literally publicly said that when you 100% pay for your game, you 100% make the decisions. You don't think that was a shot at Sony, dude? Like, I understand your exclusive have value, and you're going to stand on Hill. That's great. That is great. But the problem with that statement, best of Philly, Jim Ryan told you 4 years ago that you guys weren't enough. You guys are not buying enough of their games. A perfect example of that is Astrobot. Game of the generation for some, game of the universe. And guess what? It got outsold by a 4-year-old racer called Forza Horizon 5. Think about that for a second, dude. If exclusives matter that much, how come only 2 million plus copies sold of Helldivers 2? The other 12 million are on PC. If exclusives matter that much, there is no answer for it because PlayStation gamers are casuals. You're not a casual, you're hardcore. You equate to about 8% of the loudest populace. I'm hardcore, right? There are a lot of hardcores in here that really took it on the chin when Xbox started porting stuff over, but it's life. And guess what? Sony is going to do the same thing because they like money. They're a corporation. And guess what? The other thing that didn't happen with Xbox that has happened with Sony, Sony has lost, I would say, in the last couple of years, potentially over $1 billion. If you see all the cancellations of games that were being made, 10 gas games canceled. You don't think that's millions upon millions upon millions of dollars? Listen, I'm sorry. I know music. I shouldn't be feeding the trolls, but you know what? I had to say it. You know, this whole thing about Sony's immune to the future, Sony's immune to reality. That ship has sailed, man. It really has. The elusive gamer, Jamie Moran. Let's get back on track here, folks. I apologize. I don't normally go on tangents, but yeah, it's sometimes you got to call people to the carpet, and things make sense. And when they don't make sense, I'm going to respond. I'm sorry. It's a little ridiculous. But Jamie Moran, again, we talked about this in the green room. We talked about this in our private DM. The whole Insomniac tweet is odd, right? The date of July 14th, 2025 does not equate to anything of Spider-Man. And I went looking for that date. Nothing came up. The release date, Spider-Man, a special edition of something. It's just odd that Insomniac would come out of complete left field, tweet about a game that is officially going to be at the end of the year 7 years old, right? Or 8 years old. I'm sorry, because it came out in 20. Let's see, Spider-Man 2018. So yeah, it'd be 7 years old at the end of the year. Why tweet about a game that's 7 years old unless that game could possibly be coming to Xbox? Again, it's subjective, sure. Is it guaranteed? No one's suggesting that at all. But I want to get your thoughts on this because Helldivers just was announced, and from what I understand, when I said that was going to happen, speaking to some people, I was called a lunatic. People did videos on me. People did podcasts on what me and C Money talked about. I'm not that important, folks. Trust me when I tell you, I'm really not. But what are your thoughts?
I saw that tweet and I didn't really think much of it until I started looking at the replies, and people were having fun. I think it's a weird situation because you have one group of people online. They just want to see the reaction, right?
Yeah.
like let's say hypothetically 2 hours from now, Sony announces Spider-Man coming to Xbox. Can you imagine the reaction online?
It would be just chaos.
It'd be nuclear. It'd be crazy. I'd be there for it. Be so entertaining. But like the whole topic itself, it causes toxicity. You put Spider-Man in your thumbnail and like moth to a flame, they show up in your chat, right? The mention of Spider-Man going to Xbox causes some insecurities in some fanboys. It's crystal clear. You can look at your chat, right? There's something specific about Spider-Man that sends people over the edge. Maybe they've had the profile picture for Spider-Man for too long. I don't know. But we see this. Now, what do I take from that tweet? I actually didn't really think anything. I just thought they were having fun. But that doesn't mean I don't think it's coming. If you go back, what, close to 10 years ago, we were told that PC would never get, PlayStation games. And then it was, okay, well, they will, but 3 years later, then 2 years later, then 1 year later. Then we were told, actually, it's only going to be live service games day and date. And, Lego Horizon Adventures. As far as I know, that isn't a live service game, but it launched on the Switch the same day as PlayStation and PC. Right? Nobody batted an eye. Nobody was doing this doom and gloom. It's the end of PlayStation because they go on multi-plat. Even journalists, by the way, they weren't going out of their way talking about it as a multi-platform title. Not at all. Right? Bit strange. And here we are with Helldivers. And people are saying, oh, it's because it's a live service game. And like I said last week, Boom, I think you might be able to remember this, that would be a reasonable argument if it launched the same day as other platforms. Because if you launch in a live service game, you want the maximum amount of people playing that game day one, talking about it, buying microtransactions, battle passes, however they do that situation, right? But putting a live service game on a different platform a year after it came out, that isn't a good reason, right? Them expanding, this could be Sony testing the market. And think about it like this. Is a video game such as Helldivers 2 a game where you run around planets, alien planets, shooting aliens and robots, going to sell well on an Xbox? I kind of think so. We've been fighting Locust and the Covenant for 25 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think Xbox gamers like fighting aliens and robots. So like I could see them testing the market, and look for the the PlayStation fanboys in chat that are clearly disturbed. Who cares if PlayStation comes over? Really think about it. Like PlayStation, Spider-Man came out in 2018. It's been sitting on a server, just doing its own thing. Like if you don't own a PlayStation right now, and you want to play Spider-Man, you weren't going to buy a PlayStation to play that game. I've said this, like I said the same about Sea of Thieves before all the multi-platform stuff. All these games have a maximum ceiling on each platform of how many copies they can sell, how many units they can sell of each console for that game, right? All games have this. And I think the only game that really doesn't is Grand Theft Auto, but I could talk about that for an hour, which we won't today.
Red Dead Redemption. That's another one, another Rockstar game that is going to sell to millions and millions of people.
Yeah, basically. But like these games sitting on these servers, it's wasted money, wasted potential. Why not just make a crap ton of money putting this quote unquote old game on other platforms, right? Nobody buying a Switch 2 right now was thinking, you know what? I'm thinking about buying a PlayStation 5 to play Spider-Man in 2025, and then an hour from then they hear that it's coming to their favorite platform. Right, that's not going to happen, right? Right, these people, if they wanted to buy the game for that platform, they would have had it already. Especially considering it came out in 2018, right? I've said the same about Gears, right? Gears of War came out in 2006, right? If you want to play that game, you probably would have by now on that platform. Then they came out with the remake in 2015, Gears Ultimate Edition, which is what Reloaded is, right? If you want to play that, you probably could have played it by now, be it on PC, cloud, whatever, right? If you are locked into the PlayStation ecosystem and you just refuse to play on any other console, right? This is Microsoft getting your money, right? And it's hurting no one. I think, we see all these layoffs across the industry, and, Embracer laid off thousands of people, absolutely thousands of people. By the way, the media didn't cry about that the way they did with Microsoft. Sony laid off a lot of people, and like if you just look at the industry as a whole, there's a problem, right? There's so much money being spent on these video games that can you really blame these companies want to put their older titles on other platforms? It's free money, right? And you'll have people in chat that will say like, all these games don't sell on Xbox. You have to be out of your mind if you think an open world Spider-Man game wouldn't sell on an Xbox, considering we haven't had an open world Spider-Man game on an Xbox since the Amazing Spider-Man game, which absolutely tanked and it was filled with bugs.
It was terrible. It
Yeah.
was awful. I actually still own the physical copy.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, I think that game on Xbox One was actually delisted after 3 months. Right? It was delisted fairly quickly.
It was quick. It was super quick. Yeah, man.
Yeah, and it's actually one of the rarest Xbox One games. But like it would sell gangbusters. It really would. And like I think, like Crispy was saying, and I've said this before, like a lot of people think that Sony owns Spider-Man. That's just not the case. Right? It's just the game rights at the moment. Right? And like I'm saying right now, people are like crying in chat basically about this Ruham dude. I'll mention them by name. These people get all in the feelings by what I'm saying. Does anyone really care? Like, if these people are so built into these ecosystems, do you feel so hurt that these other games are going to other platforms? Because guess what? When the whole multi-platform Xbox stuff was mentioned last year, everyone, including myself, was like, wow, that's weird. And you know what I did? I got on with my life, right? It's not a big deal to me. I just don't care, right? Life is more important. I'm enjoying gaming more than ever before. And so what? More people get to play a game. Nothing's been taken away from me, and I prefer Xbox. I think Xbox is the better ecosystem, better controller, better community. I think Xbox as a whole is just a better platform, so I prefer it. And there's people that think the same about PlayStation. That's perfectly fine, right? Spider-Man came out in 2018. It's gathering dust. I can't imagine they are making many new console sales off a game that came out that long ago. If it comes out on Xbox, it'll do well. They can put it on Switch too. It'll do really well. It's already out on PC. It's fine. And I think it's fine. Is it weird that we have these games going to other platforms? Yeah, it's very weird. Of course it's weird. But at the same time, should we really care? We are gamers. We're the people who should be playing these games and enjoying them. But people want to act that these bean counters for these corporations because we should care that maybe they aren't selling as many consoles as we want them to. Like, we have to take a step back because the industry, and I've said this before, and I say this every week, I think the industry, the AAA industry anyway, is on its way to a game crash.
Yes,
right?
It's possible. Sure.
The budgets for these video games is absolutely absurd. Like The Witcher 4, it's going to be successful, but like The Witcher 4 is rumored to cost $400 million,
Yes.
meaning out of the gate, that game has to sell multiples of millions of copies. Right? It can't have any issues, can't have any controversies at launch. It has to work well. It can't be buggy. It has to be pristine and be one of the best games, if not the best-selling game, the day it comes out, right, that year. Will that happen? I do actually think that'll happen. But right, the AAA space, there's people locked into these platforms and they're just unwilling to think outside the box, right? They're unwilling to think that maybe it is a good idea for these games to go to the platforms. Maybe they'll make some extra scratch and maybe less people will need to be fired, right? But the AAA space, if you look at it, like, it's falling apart, right? You have all these games. It doesn't matter which platform you game on. People are being fired, games being cancelled, entire studios being shut down, not just Microsoft, like Embracer, right? Embracer has more studios than Microsoft, Sony, and Ubisoft combined. And when they shut down studios, nobody batted an eye. When they were buying all these licenses, nobody batted an eye. When they bought the Lord of the Rings IP, nobody batted an nobody batted an eye. But like, they were firing thousands of people, right? Because they weren't making any money. Embracer had a horrendously bad setup for how they were putting out games. But like, we have to look at it like these companies, they obviously need to make money. If anyone is really crying that Spider-Man could potentially come to Xbox and Switch 2, they really need to reevaluate themselves, because who cares really, right? I do not own a PlayStation 5 right now. I fully intend on getting one, but I don't plan on getting one specifically for Spider-Man. But if they put Spider-Man on Xbox, great. But if they don't, I mean, that's Sony missing out on money. And, I think, we've seen so much toxicity in the gaming space over this like multi-platform stuff over the past year. People have forgot that we just should really enjoy these games. You know, you have people that will talk all day, have 11-hour spaces on Twitter for some reason because games going multi-platform is the end of the world, right? If people really act like that, I mean, I don't know what to say. If Spider-Man gets announced tomorrow for Xbox and Switch 2, obviously it won't tomorrow, but you know what I mean? Like, that's a good thing. And I think people have to get past it. You know, it's 2025, game budgets are ballooning more than ever. Just deal with it, move on. Can you imagine if, let's say, Nintendo just randomly put Mario Kart 8 on Xbox and PlayStation?
It
Right?
would be
It would
pandemonium.
it would, other than like causing a big stir in the industry, like it would sell tens of millions of copies, making Nintendo even more money than they could possibly imagine, and everyone wins. And I keep seeing people in chat, by the way, talking about what's this Insomniac like, you know, what Insomniac tweet. Like, Insomniac posted a picture of Spider-Man.
I mean, you know what? I mean, you know, let me do this. Let me pause the footage, and well, the footage is over anyway, so let me remove that anyway. Let me put this in, put us down here, and let me just pause this for a hot second. Oh, I'm out of here. Hold on just a second. Let me just pause it. And I'm going to do a screen share live on the air. It's crazy to me that there are, and I'm sure there are people right now barking at the moon about Spider-Man coming to 2018, and they didn't even see the tweet, which is crazy. But it's fine. It's fine. Let me do a screen share, and I can show everybody in real time what the H I am talking about. So let me just blow this up for you. Get back to this main screen. Let me add it to the page. Just remove this. Bring this up. All right, folks. There's the tweet. This was yesterday, folks. Not making it up. Here it is for you to read for yourself. Hey, how are ya? Hashtag be greater. Hashtag Spider-Man PS5. Here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Why tweet about a game that's 7 years old out of complete nowhere? And on the heels, ladies and gentlemen, of Helldivers 2 being announced for Xbox, even though I was told that that could never happen, right? When it happened, the goalposts were moved. Oh, well, you know, boom. It's yeah, you were right, but it's only going to happen with multiplayer games because, you know, they want to make money. Like Jamie literally just said, Spider-Man is sitting on a server doing nothing. As a matter of fact, I don't even know if Spider-Man 2018 is even in PlayStation Plus, because it got taken out, and I don't know if they ever put it back in. This would make them a ton of money. And Sony is in the business of making money, not worrying about fanboys' feelings. Okay? And Insomniac Games, OPS, by the way, worked with Xbox and has worked with Xbox for years before they were bought up by Sony, right? Sunset Overdrive is a game that still exists. They understand Xbox hardware. They understand x86 architecture. To port it would not be that big of a deal. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Nixus has already ported the game to PC. Holy matrimony.
Bam.
It's already
bam. No, seriously, bam.
Anything.
Think about that. Think about that for a second. What does all these stands say all the time? Oh, PC's Xbox. Oh, well, guess what? This might come to fruition at some point. Maybe that Days Gone thought process might happen because they were quick to port that to PC. And guess who is in the PC realm? Oh, it's Microsoft Xbox. How about them apples?
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, again, nearly 900 people are here watching live. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to check out the show. Again, this is a topic. I did not expect it to go 50 minutes, to be honest with you. The way I break it down is 30-minute topics. This one got a little hot and heavy because a lot of people are in their fields. And there's no reason. It's just video games, ladies and gentlemen. No one's insulting you personally. No one's attacking you for having an opinion. But I mean, come on, man. This is just games. And I get it that you're not into the multi-platform thing. I wasn't. I had to accept the reality that this is what's happening in gaming. Do I like it? No. Is it the reality? Yes. It's just gaming in 2025, and it's going to get worse. More games from other places are going to go to more places because they need to make money. That's ultimately the bottom line. But look, let me catch up on super chats, and then we'll get into the next big topic, ladies and gentlemen. We got a lot to cover here, and I'm very excited because again, it's video games, right? That's what we're here for. We're here to talk about and play video games and enjoy doing it, right? That's what we're here for. But let me catch up on the super chats. We have a gifted sub from our generous brother, Do You K Now, the Broke Boy Insider. Thank you, Will, for donating that. As always, we super appreciate the generosity and the unbelievable support you have shown Mrs. Boom and myself. Thank you again, man. Lieutenant Hulk drops a very generous $5 super chat. He goes on to say, there's reports that say that Sony giving back the rights to Spider-Man back to Disney because the Spider-Man IP under Sony has been failing only a matter of time. Look. Let's just look at the Spider-Man-less universe that they try to build, right? Madam Web, flop. It's probably the biggest flop in history for Hollywood. Ginormous. Kraven the Hunter. No Spider-Man, terrible. Did not do anything. The one with the vampire, I forgot his name. Morbius comes out, terrible. Venom 1 made some money. Venom 2 didn't make as much money. Venom 3, even less money. So that whole universe has imploded. Millions upon millions upon millions of dollars that they spent making these films that didn't make any money. Now, if you compound that is Sony Corp, right? That is Sony Pictures, a part of Sony Corp. You know what else is also a part of Sony Corp? PlayStation Studios. PlayStation Studios, and we're not going all the way back. Let's just go back to their 3 games. Concord, $400 million bath, ladies and gentlemen. They're never going to recover from that. That game cost them $400 million, and they're never going to get that money back. Look at what happened with the Bungie purchase. They were supposed to be the savior of gas games for Sony. $3.6 billion with a B. Outside of Destiny, have they done anything? Well, that's right. They're working on a game called Marathon that they've been accused of for stealing art assets more than once. That game was in such bad shape, it was delayed until next year. You don't think that's millions upon millions of lost dollars that they were depending on? Fair Games, they bought Jade Raymond's studio. Jade Raymond removed from the studio. Fair Games, where is it, ladies and gentlemen? Millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. Folks, do I need to continue? Because I'm no accountant. I'm no mathematician. But that's loss after loss after loss after loss. Folks, I mean, are you kidding me? Like, how much more can Sony withstand before they go under? So Lieutenant Hulk is onto something. Like I said earlier, the Spider-Man IP is probably going to get sold back to Disney because they're going to buy it for billions. Kevin Feige wants Spider-Man in the biggest way, and if he gets it, that means he gets Osborn. And he's been wanting to do an Osborn MCU for years. That is happening. I believe Sony is in a financial pickle. I just spelled it out for you, folks. I mean, and mind you, I'm just spitballing. I don't have the actual paperwork in front of me. I just rattled off a bunch of failures. How much more can they take? I don't know. Lieutenant Hulk drops an additional, very generous $2 super chat and says, boom, what is Team Nixus going to port next? I mean, that's a good question. You know, according to a couple of people, you know, a couple of community members who have connections in Nixus, they're just porting more PlayStation games to PC. I don't think that's the case, folks. I think Sony needs to make money and need to make money now. Spider-Man is the best way. I even said about it. I think that if it's not Spider-Man, it should be Days Gone. I think Days Gone would be a great port for Xbox. Because again, you know, it sold, but it didn't sell gangbusters. And they literally just released a Game of the Year edition that could be ported to Xbox, no problem. I think a zombie game like that on Xbox would sell like gangbusters. I really would. Do UK now? The Broke Boy Insider drops an additional very generous $2 super chat. Goes, Insomniac also did Spider-Man. Would not be on PC. Also, thank you. Let me reread this because he's onto something. He also said Insomniac also said Spider-Man would not be on PC. Well, look at that. Will you look at that? I think people forgot about that. Hell, I forgot about that, Will. Thank you. Pragmatic Eagle drops a very generous $5 super chat. Goes on to say, boom, my dude, these people have no identity. Anything that's not directly kissing the ass of their cult overlord is personally insulting them, LOL. I mean, listen, I don't do the names things because I don't want to scare anybody off from listening to the show. And I want people to have their opinion. But there are times where someone just gets into the chat and refuses to relent. And as a host, I don't put them on blast. I explain myself, which I think I did a really good job in doing. Now, if they give me the big finger and unsub and put the thumbs down button and go out and say I'm a piece of shit, that's fine too. It's fine. I didn't curse. I didn't belittle. I didn't degrade. None of those things. But you know, you know what? Crispy Bomb. Let's get into the next topic. This one I think is very exciting because Fallout is a series that has been a fan favorite for years. And my biggest complaint for Fallout, or Bethesda more specifically, has been how they handled the success of the Fallout TV series. Because by all accounts, they should have known that they had a hit on their hand, and they didn't, right? They learned in real time that they had a hit based on the gangbuster numbers. With all of that said, though, Crispy, we have learned, and I talked about this, and I jokingly talk about it. Listen, Todd Howard is a tactician. The guy knows gaming. He's an incredible director, designer, storyteller. He's everything that would equate to God Howard, the name that most people call him, right? But my biggest complaint has been, I'm a Fallout fan. I've played Fallout New Vegas to its completion. I played through it twice. Loved every second of it. Played 300 plus hours into Fallout 3. Loved it. Beat it. I got almost every achievement in Fallout 3, including the DLC. I'm missing a few. Fallout 4, it was okay. The base building, I know you didn't have to do it, but I didn't like Fallout 4 as much. There's rumors that Fallout 3 Remastered is dropping this year. I have a strong suspicion, and it's just my opinion, that game is going to be shadow dropped the day that Season 2 starts. Makes perfect sense. Because, again, look what happened specifically in Jamie's neck of the woods. Fallout 3 was selling so much, it might have actually sold more after the show than when the game released. Like, it was selling like gangbusters, especially in the UK. So we got some information, once again, from Jez Corden of Windows Central. Now, this story was pulled by I pulled it from InsiderGamingNetwork.com or InsiderGaming.com, written by Mike Straw. Mike's a great writer. It goes on to say, Microsoft's canceled Blackbird, which is this incredible game that apparently Phil Spencer couldn't stop playing. At least that is the rumor. And it's a combination of stuff. Don't get mad, Jamie. They said it's a little bit of Mass Effect. It's a little bit of Tron. It's a bunch of things. And the problem is that the game was really big. based on the story. Now, again, this is coming from Jez Corden of Windows Central. I want to just read verbatim. In the latest episode of the Xbox 2 podcast, Jez Corden spoke about Microsoft's decision to cancel ZeniMac Online Studios project, codename Blackbird, which was an MMO, and that the game has been in development for years. So this is one of those situations, Microsoft losing millions. This game has been in development for years. From what I understand, it was in development before Microsoft bought Bethesda, and that's crazy. That's millions of dollars of lost money. According to Corden, the decision to cancel the game was a situation where Microsoft had to decide if they wanted to continue spending money on a game that may or may not compete with games like World of Warcraft, or the money would be better suited focusing on established franchises. And this is where I think it's the right call. I have complained publicly, privately, in DMs, on Twitter, you name it. I have complained about the fact that I don't think that it makes any sense whatsoever, Crispy, for the next Fallout, meaning Fallout 5, not to release potentially until 2032. That is effing ridiculous, especially when you have a hit series. You have a hit TV series. Season 2 is releasing soon, and people are going to watch it potentially as much as they watched the original, which has, I don't have the numbers in front of me. I'm going to go get those numbers. They're redonkulous. So the fact that we could be getting and again, what story broke last week? That they're currently working on several Fallout projects, right? We don't know what those projects are. It's safe to assume that one of those projects is the Fallout 3 remaster. That was in the court documents right alongside Oblivion, and Oblivion Remastered came out, sold like gangbusters, continues to sell like gangbusters, so it makes sense. And if they do, again, I'm not a marketing guy, Crispy, what the hell do I know about marketing? But I know common sense. And the common sense move is to take these Fallout 3 remake, remaster, whatever you want to call it, and shadow drop it right around the time that the new series comes out, or season 2 of the series. Not only are you going to get people to flock to watch the new season, but you're going to get people to spend the money. People are going to buy Fallout 3 remake if they don't have Game Pass. What are your thoughts on this, man? Because again, this is one of the projects. Fallout 5 might not actually be coming out in 2032. Maybe it's 2028. Who knows? Maybe it's 2029. But they I think, based on the conversation around Bethesda, I think they understand that they cannot wait on a series as big as Fallout. Again, I love the way that they do their business. The problem with, at least my problem with Bethesda, is their games take too long from one series to the other. Ultimately, I think it's a detriment to each of the series. You gotta get these games out. It can't take 7 years. What are your thoughts, man?
Oh man, you have went on a tangent, and I love it, because the reason why, like Fallout 4, I haven't beat it yet. Like, yeah, it's still on my Xbox. I can play it whenever I want. The building, yeah, it definitely was. It wasn't necessarily detrimental, but it was a little redundant and ridiculous at certain points, because like you'd build something and then like all the time, like, oh, like you have to be called back to this settlement and all these other things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, dude, like, I'm not gonna let the people die that have come there. Like, I'm not gonna do that. Like, I guess that's just me, and you know, that's
your good nature coming forth.
But Fallout 3 I beat, and I will say this, like, the choice at the end was so prominent, and there was multiple ways to do it, that it made me realize how important RPGs are. And I truly believe that if you're going to do one, you do that one. if you're gonna make it like polished and play better than it did, maybe the shooting mechanics, work on that, like actually make it feel like maybe like Fallout 4 with the mechanics of the fighting without all of the hoopla on the back end. I really believe, especially with this season 2 coming out, it would be logical. What I would say is that that's the reason why I would say think about this. They're not going to do New Vegas because the new season is set in New Vegas. And this is after the actual game, New Vegas. Like, this is where people are going to get all weird and be like, I don't know what you're talking about. You got to play some of the games and you got to watch the TV show. And then you're going to be like, oh, shit. Lots of times. Oh, man, this is different. They're trying to fold it all in. Now, I will say this. I think they looked at the Halo series, okay? And people were like, they didn't, and I didn't love it either. I liked it. It was good, in my opinion. But, I mean, it's Master Chief. Like, you don't need to take your helmet off ever. Just walk around and be the brick shit house you've always been. So I look at that and I say, they looked at that and was like, maybe this isn't going to work. So all of a sudden, this hits hard because, maybe it was Todd. I truly believe they just left Bethesda and said, hey, you do what you do and, involve yourself in this series and we'll be good. And there was no marketing or nothing really. Like at the beginning when it came out from even Prime or Amazon, there was no marketing. And all of a sudden, like, it's like, bam, like people got caught in this loophole of understanding what it felt like to be in Fallout. And they did it. I don't know how they did it, but, and I really hope like they continue. Like now we want some like serious action. We want some really good like dialogue and like, like Mr. House, like no spoilers if you haven't watched it, but suck. Like really go into that because they folded everything in so perfectly. And it's like, why not go back to at least the Bethesda beginning? We're not talking Fallout 1 and 2. We're talking Fallout 3 because at the end of the day, like really, as far as gaming aspect, two different games. Fallout 1 and 2, isometric, basically like totally different from Fallout 3. And I would say go for it. Fallout 5, in my eyes and my thought process, I would say is much sooner than people think. But it's going to be a totally different. It might even be like Midwest or something like that, almost like a Western status, like dealing with living and understanding that the world has been obliterated, and also seeing some great set pieces and stuff like that. And the one thing I'd say is they need to be mindful of the building because it takes away from the story. Even though you can have multiple stories in Fallout 3, you still focused on the story, whatever perspective you went from. And I truly believe like that's why I love New Vegas so much, because I could go on all ends of the spectrum and that story still like it hits with me.
Just my favorite in the series. I know but the fine folks at Bethesda are probably mad at me for saying that, but that's my favorite. That's my favorite Fallout. Sorry.
Like, let's be fair. Obsidian used assets they had, and they created something different. And I appreciate. I mean, my God, if there's a collab, and this is where I say, like, people don't see Microsoft like this, but you look at how much the coalitions have been involved in multiple games that were successful. And how Phil said, I didn't bring in the A team type thing. I go and say, like, look, like, imagine Bethesda and Obsidian coming together for one freaking game and making it something special and something like epic and like to your proportions that, like, as a Fallout fan, of course, but to your proportions that say, man, this couldn't be any better. Like, it's possible. And I understand, like, people say all these like cancellations and all this, and that goes across many companies. But really think about it. If you have a footprint in understanding that there are teams that aren't necessarily a part of this game that can work on them, and they want to, that's the biggest point. They want to. Could they make something like spectacular and like beyond our expectations? And I think that's more possible than just taking a team and forcing them to do it. And that's really the way I look at it.
Great points of view all around. Jamie Miranda, I have two additional paragraphs I want to read that are really content heavy of what's happening, specifically at Bethesda with Fallout. And of course, once again, this is a article from insidergaming.com. I will, of course, add this to the show notes. So if you want to read it for yourself, it was another well-written article by Mike Straw, posted yesterday. Jamie goes on to say this, and this is quoting Jez Corden. From what I've heard, it was a case of trade-offs, and that the program to expand Fallout 5 and just Fallout in general, that's where Microsoft has decided to make their investments and where the money will be translated into more of a surefire win. Goes on to say, Jez Corden added that he's been told that Fallout 5 has in fact been greenlit for full production, while openly wondering if a new studio could work on a Fallout game. And he goes on to say this, Jamie, it's worth mentioning, however, that Corden says he does not have enough information for a full story on where things stand with Fallout, or if they would form a new team to work on the next game in the series. And again, this is one of those situations. I've said this publicly as well. Bethesda is a big part of Xbox, and their franchise IP are legendary. Obviously, Fallout 76. I know Paris. I know. I saw what you guys tried to do. You mentioned Paris's name 3 times, like you expecting him to show up like Candyman. Usually he does. I didn't see him in the chat, but I've also on a whole other screen. So Paris, if I missed you here, brother, I apologize. But getting back to Bethesda, obviously they have a lot going on with Bethesda. Obviously, you have the Fallout series, you got the Elder Scrolls series, you got Starfield, and that's just 3, right? They have 3 massive RPG, IPs that they have to contend with. Again, I know that there has been no big news or any new information about the Starborn DLC that's supposed to be releasing this year. Supposedly, I know there was talk about it being canceled. It has not been canceled, from what I understand. Fallout 76, Paris did a big story on it on his channel. That they're getting the biggest update of all time since its inception of the game. That's coming. ESO consistently gets updated. But as great as those games might be for some, they mean nothing for me, or at least those 2. I'm not an MMO guy. I like Starfield. I love Starfield. Single player, I get to do my thing. Fallout 5, I've said this before, I think Bethesda needs to expand if they haven't already. I think that I know that Todd Howard specifically likes hands-on. He's a hands-on guy. He's a great writer, great director, great content creator. an incredible leader. And I'm not saying that to kiss his ass. It just look what he's done, right? And he wants to do things the old way. I don't know if the old way works anymore. You got to have content, and we can't wait 7 years for the next Fallout. We just can't. So whether that means that it's full pedal to the metal, where it's double duty, triple duty, or you make a new team, an actual Fallout 5 team. I don't know which way they're going to go, but let's get your thoughts on some of the new information coming away of Jez Corden of Windows Central, Jamie.
Oh, we've got a lot to unpack here because Fallout is one of my favorite franchises.
Well, there you go.
You know, when Fallout, the TV show, came out last year, Fallout 4 became number one across all of Europe.
Yep, there you go.
A then 9-year-old game was like top of the charts, topping, like, even though Grand Theft Auto's been out a while, like Grand Theft Auto is usually number one if there's no new games out. But yeah, Fallout 4 and Fallout 76 across the board, across Europe, was doing incredibly well. Everyone was talking about Fallout, right? Non-gamers, gamers. It was beautiful. Fun fact about me, I bought the collector's edition of Fallout 4 and couldn't play it when it came out because I hate crafting. And that whole crafting system and settlement system really put me off, so I didn't play it until last year. And I realized you don't actually have to touch that stuff. So Fallout 4 is brilliant, by the way. But yeah, so Fallout, I've been saying for a year now that Fallout is too big of an IP to just get one game a decade, if that, right? We haven't had a Fallout game since, 2016? 2015? And it's been a while. And I think, the way Bethesda puts out RPGs and the way game development is right now, do we really want to live in a world where one generation we get a Fallout, the next generation we get an Elder Scrolls game, then the following generation we get Starfield, and by the year 2067 we get Starfield 3, and that's what the projections will be like if they make games like this. So like Microsoft can't really afford to just have Fallout sitting on the back burner. And I've also said for the past year, and a lot of people have said this because it actually does make sense, that Fallout 3 remake, I'll call it a remake, will drop the same day as the season 2 of the TV show.
Makes sense. Too much sense.
And Virtuos did a beautiful job with Oblivion. And Fallout 3 is one of my favorite games of all time. And my God, if that game comes out and it's not blue, green, and yellow at the same time everywhere, like that original game was, it'll be a masterpiece. But they can't have just Fallout sitting there and not having a new title come out till 2032, 33, 34. So them getting a different studio to make different games, that makes perfect sense. And you have to look that they have multiple RPG studios now. They have In Exile, they have Obsidian, right? They have these studios that could make something like a Fallout, and they don't even have to make full-on Fallout games, right? Fallout, big open world game, they don't need to do that. One of my ideas is that I would love a linear first-person shooter where you play as a Brotherhood of Steel member.
Oh, yes, dude.
Like during the wars. I think that would be a really cool thing. It's something I've been wanting for a long time because that's such a cool time period. And they can basically do anything, right? Like you don't even need a huge open world game if you go on open world. They could do something Avowed size with multiple different regions. They could do something like the Outer Worlds 2. Like Fallout as an IP should be something where we get a game every couple of years.
Yes.
Right? And it doesn't have to be like Fallout 5, Fallout 6, Fallout 7, like spin-offs. Like Fallout New Vegas came out not long after 3, right? A big open world game. Obviously, that was a different time, but people were hyped. People were loving it, right? We haven't had an Elder Scrolls game since 2011. And when the next one comes out, it's going to be, 2026? If we are lucky, 2026, right? That is absolutely ridiculous. 15 years in between sequels.
It is too much. Too much.
Right?
Yeah.
And now, I love Elder Scrolls, but I prefer Fallout, right? We shouldn't be... We should be like in these times where we are thinking like, hey, if I enjoy a game now and I want a sequel, let's see a sequel in 15 years. That's just stupid, right? Another reason I talk about the game crash. These game development times is absolutely crazy, right?
Yeah.
So they need to get multiple studios. And as heartbreaking as it is that apparently Bethesda were working on a Mass Effect style game, I'll just jump off a bridge right now. My God, I could cry myself to sleep at night. But like them having more teams on Fallout, it just makes more sense, right? Why risk a lot of money in a new IP, which isn't a sure thing, when you have Fallout, which is the second they put out a new Fallout game, it's going to print money
Yes.
the same day it launches. So I completely see that, and as a huge Fallout fan, I want more Fallout games. I don't want to wait till 2030 something where it sounds like a futuristic year from Blade Runner, right? I want something now. And I'll take smaller games, I'll take remakes, anything. The TV show proved that Fallout is still a huge IP. We can clearly see that these TV shows, if successful, can drive people to play these games. Like I know of non-gamers that bought consoles and Fallout because of the TV show. Right? That's crazy. Fallout isn't exactly a casual game. It's not Animal Crossing. So like I can completely see why Microsoft would want to get multiple games in development. So like realistically, if they have multiple teams on these games, we could possibly see the Fallout 3 remake this year, Elder Scrolls possibly next year, and maybe if we're lucky, if Fallout spin-off in 2 years and Fallout 5 in 2030. I'm being generous there, but in these times, like look at GTA, right? Grand Theft Auto 5 came out in 2013, and when 6 comes out, it's going to be 2026. Do you know what year it's going to be when we get Grand Theft Auto 7?
Oh, dude.
I don't even want to think of what year.
You might even be alive, brother. I mean,
yeah.
honestly.
Yeah, our bones will be dust. And I think, these companies, I think they're going to have to realize that we can't have a decade in between sequels. I put out a post on Twitter last week, and it went bloody viral in the UK, 33,000 likes. Didn't expect that, but like I had a point. Like during the 7th generation, we had 3 Mass Effect games, 3 Dead Space games, 3 BioShock games. Right? We had peak Battlefield, peak Call of Duty, which didn't have microtransactions or battle passes. We had 2 Fallout games that generation. We had 2 GTAs. We had 3 Batman Arkham games, 3 Dragon Age games. And look at what we have now. If you get a game today, you're going to be waiting a long ass time till we play a sequel. And to me, that's unacceptable. Yes, games look prettier than ever. There's more detail than ever. But I will take great gameplay and great story over fancy ass graphics any day. Because honestly, as a gamer, I love the games that's coming out at the minute. But I'm so annoyed that we just don't get sequels like we used to. And it's so annoying because as a BioShock fan, I'm sure you're a BioShock fan as well, Boom. Like, wouldn't you love to play Fallout 4 at some point? Sorry, not Fallout 4, BioShock 4 at some point. Like,
yeah, it'd be nice.
But that game apparently was originally meant to come out in 2018. It's 2025, right? The development time is taking too long. So I completely get why Microsoft wants to push ahead, have like a huge concentration on Fallout, because Elder Scrolls 6, it's going to print money. But Fallout, whatever the Fallout they come out with next, that is going to be ridiculous. So I completely get it. And, whenever the remake of 3 comes out, hopefully this year, if people have never played it, my God, you're in for a treat. But yeah.
I mean, look, again, I love evidence-based conversation. You've heard me say that before, right? Like I am, if we're going to have a conversation, I love having numbers. So I went and looked while Jamie and Crispy were talking about these numbers for specifically Fallout and how much the sales, right? So apparently, after the TV series released, now this is not just Fallout 4, Fallout games in general saw a 7,500% week over week sales increase. 7,500% increase, right? That's not the only thing. In Fallout games saw a 200% player count boost after the TV series released. So what I'm trying to figure out is how much of the what were the TV numbers? The TV numbers were in the millions. Like I honestly think it's Amazon's biggest show to date, and season 2 is coming soon. It's going to be, I think it's going to be either 8 or 9 episodes. I think it mirrors exactly how many episodes the first season had. Folks, slight spoiler warning at the end of the series, and I'll give you 5 seconds to press pause or mute it. It showed them going where, gentlemen? New Vegas. Yeah. That's, I mean, come on. So again, it's one of those things that I don't necessarily know, and I don't want to to blame. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying that somebody had to have known that this was going to be a hit. Now, maybe they were slightly gun shy because of what happened with Halo season 1 and 2, and that's on management. They allowed a director who was fired for season 1, by the way, after season 1. Oh, I've never played the game. I'm going to tell the story how I want to tell it. Fired. The minute you heard that, you should have fired that person. Okay, you know what? We're going to put this on hold. You're fired. No, you're not doing it your way. You're gonna do it the way the game is. Sorry. And Fallout, the series, really had. I mean, you can tell that it had the fingerprints of Todd Howard all over it. Like, that guy was incredibly. And you can say the thing about same thing about The Last of Us. Last of Us had heavy involvement from the people at Naughty Dog, right? I mean, you can just tell. But Fallout, I just think that we're at a position where Fallout 76, I know that it's changed, folks. I know it's not the same. I know it's more, you can play it as a single player, but it's still an MMO, man. That's not the Fallout that I want to play. I don't know if that's the Fallout that Crispy or Jamie want to play, or even you, fine folks, want to play. I don't want to play that. I want a singular, story-driven, narrative-focused Fallout. Give me a character that I make from scratch. Let me tell my own tale by doing what I want based on whatever the game story you're trying to tell. That's fine. And these games, like Jamie was just saying or alluding to, can't take 7, 8, 9, 10 years to come out. It's too much. I think there should be smaller titles, but I've been saying about that, if you want to, point fingers, I've been saying that about Halo for years. As much as it's great to get a big Halo game, why don't we get more ODSTs? Sorry, we need more of those as well. And Fallout could easily fall in that range. A Fallout game doesn't have to be 500 hours. I think if you want to expand the reach of this series that now has been expanded based on the TV series, which a lot of casuals watch, you can do that by releasing a Fallout that's 25 hours in an area telling a specific story that could work its way into one of the bigger games. Again, I'm not the games director, but I'm just saying that if you want, they have a lot of studios, and I think it's time for. I'm glad to know that Fallout 5 is, and the Fallout series in general, has been put ahead of maybe what this, Project Blackbird was going to be, versus, it's unknown, right? I'm sure it was going to be good because it's Bethesda and they don't really release bad games, but I mean, Fallout 5 is something I want, and I don't want to be 62 years old playing Fallout 5. I just don't. I don't think we should have to wait till 2032 to play that game. I think that's just ridiculous. Now, if you give me a Fallout 3 remake, that's going to kind of soften the blow a little bit. You give me potentially a Fallout New Vegas remake or sequel, taxed, Obsidian to help you with that. Let them do the
NCR.
There you go.
NCR. New California Republic.
Hello.
And guess what? The TV show's going straight to, New Vegas,
Yes, it
and
is.
it would be mindful
Oh
to
my
go back and say what happened in the new California Republic. Because if you played New Vegas, you know that you went to the Hoover Dam when you ended it. You didn't go to California. So there's a lot of land that you could involve yourself in and understand the whole like narrative and everything else. And I think that would be, I mean, I said this what like 5 years ago, like give me an NCR, like let's see what this is about. And like, yeah, you're gonna have your choices because that's Fallout, but
right.
at the end of the day, like think about it. Like, you know, they barely touched California in the TV series, but they've never
Yes.
touched it in the game.
I mean, listen, it's one of those series that has the whole country opened. Mind you, they haven't even gone to other places in the world. Like this is just here. I am very excited to see what they're going to do. I'm happy to know that we have a um, a big emphasis placed on this series, as it should be. And again, I know that we were originally going to get into the Indiana Jones story. There's also some new information regarding the Elder Scrolls. According to Jez Corden, it's quote unquote very playable. We're probably going to talk about that on Thursday. I'm still working on Wednesday's show. But, ladies and gentlemen, let me just catch up on Super Chats and then we will get everyone out of here. A strong 90-minute, two-topic show, one of which is a topic I didn't expect to spend 50 minutes on, but I'm glad we did. I'm glad that we got the Spider-Man talk out. I think that you know what's interesting. I just saw a DM. So you think that the potential of Spider-Man going to other places is bothersome? Brett Bingham, who I talk with on a regular basis, him and King Webb, by the way, incredible members of the community that consistently DM me with awesome information. Push Square wrote a story and they put a post out. Helldivers 2 Xbox announcement prompts avalanche of Spider-Man port backing. Oh my goodness. I love it. Boy, they really know how to get people riled up. Listen, folks, it's just games. Don't get riled up about ports. They're happening, whether you like it or you don't. That's just the reality of business, and they are in the business of making money. And if they can make more money on a game that's sitting on a virtual shelf somewhere, they're probably going to do it. But we have a Torino Johnson, who's been a member for nearly 2 years. Torino, thanks so much for the support, brother. And it's great to see you here. He says, I keep saying that at a $3 profit per console, Sony made $382 million in total for 80 million consoles that were shipped. They lost that with Concord canceled live service games. I mean, that Concord was $400 million. Now, granted, it wasn't a one shot 400 million. Apparently, that 400 million was over years, but it's still $400 million of lost money that they're never going to get back. Lieutenant Hulk drops an additional very generous $2 super chat. It says, boom, Nix's porting to Xbox. PS5 has no games. LMAO. I mean, they have a lot of timed exclusives, and unfortunately, their first party was. Look, you got to understand something. Sony was the masters of engagement with its community. Just look at 2018, 2019, 2020. Amazing years for PlayStation first party. They decided to shift, and I say they, people that are no longer with the company, i.e. Jim Ryan, decided that they wanted to get into the gas game. They wanted to make the money that Xbox make, basically. Because he said that PlayStation gamers, through their first party games, the one and done games as it's been known, are just not enough. And he changed the trajectory of PlayStation Studios in a way that cost him his job. Okay? And 10 of those 12 games have been canceled. One made a lot of money, Helldivers 2, which is why it's coming to Xbox. but it made money not on PlayStation. Sold about 2.2 million copies, from what I understand. Sold over 12 million copies on PC. That's not a surprise, right? That game came out, did well for them. That's 11. The 12th game is Fair Games. Fair Games is going to be canceled. There's no doubt about it. We heard about it. They said it wasn't good. Jade Raymond leaves the studio. Whether she was fired or she left it on her own, who knows? We'll never know unless she writes a book. That's 11 out of 12 games that have failed. They need to figure it out. So Pragmatic Eagle drops an additional, very generous $5 super chat. Says, don't read Boom. Opinions are the same as a raving lunatic rant. Let opinions ride. Don't let lunatics ruin the positive vibes of the show channel. I appreciate that. I mean, again, I very rarely comment on people's comments. Today was one of those exceptions where, you know, I don't want to ban anybody for an opinion. I don't want to do that. I don't like banning people. I don't even like blocking people unless you're an absolute POS, like a POS of the week. Dirt Griggity will appreciate that. Then I'll just block you. I don't really like to block people. I like to everyone get along. But occasionally, and it is occasionally, someone comes into the chat and their opinions are as if they know better. Yes, your opinions matter. And I'm sure they matter more to you than they do to me, but they still matter nonetheless. But sometimes you got to call people to the carpet. And I think I did it in a politically correct way. I don't embarrass anybody. I don't belittle. I don't, do anything to make people feel unwanted. But sometimes you just gotta answer the call. So I appreciate the kind words, brother, and of course the additional generosity. Lastly, Cheese is Nasty drops a very generous $5 super chat. It says Fallout 3 and 76 are my favorite. Yes, even 76 before they added NPCs. LOL. Fallout 3 world felt like a post-apocalypse. Yeah, I love 3. I enjoyed 4. I didn't love 4. I loved Fallout 3, and New Vegas is still my favorite. But gentlemen, that's going to do it for us here. Chat, thank you so much for hanging out. We had over 900 people watching live across X, Twitch. Hello, Twitch, one Twitch viewer, and of course YouTube. If you liked the commentary, if you liked the topics, hit the like button on the way out. If you did, hit the thumbs down button. That's engagement is engagement, as they say. And if you're not already subscribed, Mrs. Boom and I would greatly appreciate if you would consider subscribing, as we are on the hunt for 17K, and we can get there with your help. And of course, gentlemen, let's get everyone out of here. Chris Baum, let's say the brand, brother. You're on vacation. Where are you going to show up next, potentially? And more importantly, where can people find you on social media to get that crispy truth, sir?
Well, it's a pleasure as always. Like Jamie dropping some bars, you're dropping some bars. Like at the end of the day, like we're all gamers and we want to see games made, and the games we like, we want to see more of them. And it's at Chris Baum on X, Chris Baum 28 Xbox Live, and you can find me wherever I show up on BoomStick's channel. Might be it's definitely going to be next week, maybe Monday, Tuesday, one of those two things. So I'll see you in a week. Love y'all. I'm going to touch some grass like a human being, and maybe slosh my feet in the lake that I'm going to be on, and enjoy life. So enjoy yourself and have a great day.
Thank you so much. And Jamie Moran, let's tell the brand, brother, because you got a show happening this evening called the All Things Xbox Podcast. Yourself and Logan Meyer do a great job of, talking about the latest and greatest Xbox news, potentially talking about Mass Effect or Splinter Cell. I mean, listen, but there's a lot. I mean, a lot of Xbox news to get into. And I can't wait to see what you guys bring to the table this evening. Sell the brand, brother. Where can people subscribe to the Elusive Gamer YouTube channel? Find you and Logan tonight, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And more importantly, follow you guys on the social medias.
Yeah, thanks, Boom. It's always a pleasure. And before I do my plug my channel, I have to say we have a chatter from Twitch in your chat. Mike
nice.
N1 says hi. So
hello, Mike.
That's your Twitch viewer there.
There you go, Mike Nunn. Thank you so much, brother. I just said hello to him.
Yeah, so that's cool. So yeah, my YouTube channel is The Elusive Game. I exclusively cover Xbox. There's no fanboy stuff. There's no toxicity, none of that stuff. And all things Xbox podcast is on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, where we're going to cover everything gaming at the minute. We're going to go over the Asus Xbox handheld, the Indiana Jones stuff, and a lot of Fallout. And let's be honest, me glazing Final Fantasy 16 for probably 10 minutes. It's a thing. But yeah, that's 6 p.m. Eastern on the Elusive Gamer YouTube channel. And my Twitter is Jamie Moran UK, where it's exclusively gaming and jokes.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for being a part of this. Thank you, chat, for hanging out with me, Crispy, and Jamie Moran. Again, we had a great conversation. Again, for anyone that is watching, before we get on out of here, a big thank you to all the super chats and the channel member chats and the gifted subs as well. If you were interested in the game that I was playing to open up the stream, it is called Greed Land. One word, $10.39 on Xbox right now, and it is phenomenal. I have 58 of the 100 achievements, and I've gotten those in the last 3 days. That's all I want to play. And it has such an addictive RPG system that you're unlocking things and you're leveling up some of the powers. But I don't know if this was the greatest video. I got to show you some of the other stuff. Go to my social media account on X. You'll see I have a couple of 4-minute videos. It gets bonkers. And mind you, that's only 6 powers. I learned this morning as I was looking through some of the lists, you can add 2 additional powers. You can have a total of 8 going on at once. And there are points where you can't even see the objective. There's so many things on the screen. I mean, if you like Vampire Survivors, you are going to absolutely love this game. And it's super cheap. It's only $10. My God, go out and buy that game. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us here. And of course, if you enjoyed the podcast, hit the like button on your way out. Share this on the social media. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully one day be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast.